Thank you, everybody. We have been waiting. We've been waiting for this moment. We're waiting for the next Labour government. We are waiting for Thursday, and things come when we wait, and things come when we work hard. And it's a huge privilege to welcome Jeremy here in Worcester today.
Lynn, thank you very much. I'm sorry we've kept you waiting. I really apologise for that. We are on the last leg of the election campaign tour. I've been to well over 60 constituencies already, and there's plenty more to go. And over this last 3 days, we started earlier today in Bristol, we've been to Stroud, we're here, we're heading northwards, Wolverhampton, northwest, Scotland, northeast, and so on and so on. We are covering every single part of this country, and we're getting that message out there. So I want to just say thank you to you for all the work you're doing here with Lynn to win Worcester for Labour. Because we want a Labour government, we have to gain constituencies, and I want you to tell me now, are you going to win Worcester?
Yes!
I kind of heard a little murmur that you're going to win Worcester. Can we have it said clearly, please? Are you going to win Worcester?
Yes!
Better. And winning Worcester is about how we change politics and do things in this country. There's a group of women here alongside me on the platform, and I'm very proud they're here on the platform. And I'm very proud that we've made a very clear commitment that we will right some, if not all, of the wrongs of the past. One of them is the disgraceful way that WASPy women were treated by this government. We owe them a moral debt. Their money was taken away from them by deception in 2011. Many have been through very serious hardships as a result. They paid their tax, they paid their national insurance, they worked in our society, worked with their families, worked in our communities, and they're so disgracefully treated. And so when I made the announcement that we were going to pay the WASPy women what they're owed, lots of journalists said, well, how can you do that? Why are you doing that? It's going to cost a lot of money. I said, please understand, there was a contract made with those women. They paid into a system. They expect to get a pension out of it. Don't steal their pension. And so that's there as a clear commitment. And our manifesto is an ambitious document, and I'm proud of its ambition. Because we've had 9 years of austerity in this country. And when a child in a hospital in Leeds with pneumonia is treated on the floor of the hospital, think about that. We're the 5th richest country in the world. Are we in such a bad state that we're not prepared to put enough money into our National Health Service to ensure that children are treated properly in that hospital? Well, they've had 9 years to put money into the NHS. It's a bit late when 2 days before the election, the Prime Minister starts blathering on about, well, it's this, that and the other. Well, it's not this, that and the other. It's the austerity that the Tories and the Lib Dems imposed on this country in 2010 that we're suffering from. So it will be a Labour government that invests the money in the NHS. It will be a Labour government that invests the money in education through a national education service. Because I am fed up with schools being so underfunded. The teachers have to raise funds in order to maintain the school. The children, 4 million children in our country are growing up in poverty. 130,000 not knowing where their homes are going to be after Christmas. That degree of insecurity and poverty at the same time, with the same government, with the same economic strategy, they've created 150 billionaires in Britain. Well, if productivity was measured by the creation of billionaires, my goodness, the Tory party would be doing well. Well, I want to lead a government that will measure our success by the reduction in poverty, by the number of children that are not hungry, by the number of children that are not being taught in oversized classes. by the children that reach their achievable aims because the school is properly funded and they get the chance to learn music and art in school as well as all the other lessons that go with it. So it is about what's in our manifesto. Our manifesto is brimming with ideas, with opportunities and with hope. And I was here in the last election in 2017 and I spent some time with a group of nurses who were studying at the university. And we sat down for a while and we talked about their course and talked about their achievements and talked about doing the job they loved and the profession they wanted to be in. And then I said to them a hard question at the end. There was, I think, about 12 of them. I said, how many of you would be doing this course if there wasn't a nurse bursary? One hand went up. Think about that. Without the nurse bursary, we would have lost 11 very good nurses determined to work in our NHS. And with student fees at £9,000 a year, the huge debts that people go into in order to get a university qualification mean that many are deterred from doing so. I want to lead a government that works on the principle that education is a right, not a commodity. The right to education. It's only seen as extreme in Britain because of the attitude of so much of the media in Britain towards the whole principles of public spending. Many countries it's seen as absolutely normal that you educate the population to the very best of their ability so that we all benefit. So if a child grows up in poverty, goes to an overcrowded school, underachieves in school, doesn't get to go to college, doesn't get to university, doesn't get to be the nurse, the doctor, the engineer or the technician, they lose and we all lose as well because we've lost the potential of what that young person could achieve in life. And so our manifesto is about investing with hope for the future. And I'm proud of our manifesto, and I'm proud that we have put ourselves out there with a fully costed analysis of how that manifesto is going to be paid for. And without mentioning names, so I don't believe in the politics of personal abuse or disagreement, we have put up, it's all right, yeah, I'm getting some very good advice here, but just hold it for a second. It's all right, thank you. Yes, thank you very much, yes. I think I agree with you. It's just this. We've taken part in all the debates. We've set ourselves open to all the questioning and all the interviews and all the scrutinies. What have the Tory party got to hide that they don't want to be interviewed, they don't want to be questioned, they don't want debate, and they don't want to be scrutinised? Democracy is about exposing yourself to argument and debate. And I'm very happy to have a debate or an argument with absolutely anybody because I believe in what we're doing. Believe in what's in our manifesto and what we're trying to achieve here. There is a huge issue facing all of us in every part of the world, and that is the climate emergency and the climate crisis that's going on at the present time. And it's not new. Environmental campaigners have been around all of my life. I remember at school campaigning on environmental issues, and that was a while ago. No comments, please, thank you. But thank you. That's very nice of you to say so. But it is very serious, and on May the 1st I was very proud to introduce to Parliament on behalf of the Labour Party a motion which asked that the UK Parliament declare a climate emergency. And I put this forward, a comprehensive motion, and Michael Gove got up to give the government's point of view. Well, two things emerged from Mr. Gove's speech. And it was a very long speech. One was he doesn't like me one little bit. I can cope with that, it's all right. I'm managing, I'm unhurt by it. But the other thing was he didn't really want to get in a public argument about it because he knows the strength of the argument we're putting forward. And so I was very keen that our manifesto had a very detailed section on the green industrial revolution and sustainability for the future. And last Thursday in Southampton, I was very proud to propose our plan for nature, which is about biodiversity, farming policies, protection of wildlife and natural habitats. And take all that together and we've got a serious proposal and a serious plan. But you can look at the environmental crisis in two ways. You can say, wow, this is terrible, this is awful, the air's getting worse, the water's getting worse, the globe's warming, we're going to have worse and worse weather, more extreme conditions, and we just become spectators as the glaciers melt, the forests burn, and many people are driven into being climate refugees in many parts of the world, and we suffer extreme flooding and so on in this country. And just sort of basically wish it all away. Or we can say, well, Paris 2015 was, and it was, a huge step forward, but it didn't go far enough. And next year, the next climate change conference will be in Britain. I want to be there on behalf of the Labour government, leading that conference. Going much further than Paris of 2015 and saying ever so politely to President Trump, you're wrong. You're wrong. You cannot walk away from Paris 2015. We need something stronger, and that we will do absolutely everything we can to try and reach net zero emissions by 2030. That means investment in electric buses, which we will do. It means retrofitting homes to save energy. It means investment in green energy and technology. But do you know what it also means? An awful lot of well-paid, good quality, skilled jobs of the future, developing all that technology. So the tidal technology will develop through Swansea Bay and the Mersey Barrage, and other things will mean we also become a technological leader in all of this. And that is what I'm absolutely determined to do. Develop the technology that's sustainable and protects and preserves our natural world. So the growth for the future is actually the growth of the science in defending what we've got and improving the situation we're facing with the environment. And I'm very proud of the work that's gone into our manifesto on that. There's so much that we put forward, so much on housing, on health, on education, on the environment. But it's also about investment across the country through a national investment bank with regional investment banks to go alongside it, through a transport system where the railways are publicly owned alongside a bus service that covers all parts of the country, particularly rural areas that suffered so badly. So it's there. And when we go into government, it's not going to be individuals that go into government. It's not just Lynn or me that go into Parliament. It is all of us that have to work so hard to develop all this change and this change of approach across the country. I just want to say a couple of other things. Over the past 2 years, the government has been in secret talks with the United States about our National Health Service through the trade talks with the USA. We demanded that the information be exposed through a Freedom of Information Act request. And as I pointed out in the first head-to-head debate with the leaders, the document was indeed revealed, every single line of it crossed out with a Sharpie pen to make sure none of us could read anything that actually happened. Well, the Sharpie has been defeated by the bright light of honesty that's shone on the real documents. And a week later we were able to reveal the real documents. The real documents that show that the Trade Secretary at the time, Liam Fox, opened the talks with the Americans about what trade relationship would be in the future. The sweetheart trade deal with Donald Trump, the sweetheart trade deal that would extend the patent life of expensive medicines, putting a huge cost on our National Health Service. The secret talks that talked about access to our health market. Now think about that. All my life we've had a National Health Service. All of your lives we've had a National Health Service.
We don't have a market for sale.
We don't, absolutely. Thank you very much. The point is, quite simply, we say this, our NHS is not for sale. Not for sale, not now, nor at any other time in the future. Under Labour, our National Health Service will be properly funded.
Not for sale! Not for sale! Not for sale!
It will be properly funded under Labour. It will be properly invested in under Labour, and there will be a social care system worthy of the name alongside it, and there will be a mental health service worthy of the name alongside it. Because we cannot go on on with these levels of underfunding of our NHS and pretend it's all right. No, it's not. I pay tribute to the health workers and the work they do. But with 40,000 nurse vacancies, they're working very, very hard. With such a shortage of doctors, they're working very, very hard. You need a government that's serious about this, that invests in training for the future, invests in the services that we need. And I'm utterly determined we should be that government. There's so much we have to achieve. So much we have to achieve. Somebody said to me, what's your number one priority when you've been elected? Well, there's so many, but to me, there's something that really demonstrates just how bad austerity has got. When 4 million children are living in poverty, when 130,000 not knowing where their home is, as I said, and there are thousands of rough sleepers all around the country. Let's do something to end the homelessness, the rough sleeping crisis all around the country as a priority. And let's end universal credit and the horrors that it gives to people, particularly children of larger families, and that simply is wrong. And so our manifesto is there. Elect a government that will invest properly in public services, elect a government that will invest in the growth of manufacturing jobs on a clean, green economy for the future. Elect a government that is serious on the world stage about peace, justice, democracy and human rights around the world. And elect a government that really does want to represent everybody and not walk by on the other side. Not break up all our trading relationships with Europe, but make sure we bring an end to this debate by settling it so we have a trading relationship and we protect the Good Friday Peace Agreement in Northern Ireland. And that, all of that, I'm utterly determined to do. So as you go out and campaign in this last few hours almost of this election campaign, don't give up at all for one moment. It's going to be cold, it's going to be wet probably, and it's going to be very hard work. But you know what? From my impression, there's more people helping in more places now than even in the great campaign of the 2017 election. So when the naysayers and the cynics attack us all, attack individuals in leadership positions in our parties, and try and drag this whole election campaign into the politics of the gutter, I simply say this: you are very, very welcome to walk in the gutter. You're very welcome to lie in the gutter, but I will not be joining you. Because ours is the politics of hope and of inclusion. Ours is a party that campaigned for democracy, for the right of women to vote, to end discrimination against those with disabilities, to end race discrimination, and to end gender discrimination and pay discrimination. Ours is a party that has that record and that past, and that's where we originate from. So in this 21st century election, we're out there with some very modern ideas: broadband for the whole country, sustainable economy, but above all, we're there with a time-honoured demand for justice, for equality, and for the principle that every single person matters. Our NHS treats everybody the same. Surely it'd be a good idea to have a government that didn't walk by on the other side to those going through crises and difficulties in their lives. And so, knock on those doors, listen to people, treat people with respect, but above all, go out there, because we need to win this election on Thursday. So you wake up on Friday morning with a very nice early Christmas present of a Labour government.